3, 2, right. So even before I managed to get there, we are now recording. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, fellow coaches, strength enthusiasts, and others, and welcome to our latest BHG Coaching Masterclass. Today we're going to talk everything to do with Cascade, strengths, coaching individuals, and teams. And to that end, I have a very good friend of BHG and the global Gallup coaching community with us, Richard Sterry. Richard, just wave and say hello. And Makrit is again ahead of me, obviously activator in action. So before we jump in and I formally introduce Richard, we're going to run a couple of polls just to get a sense of what you guys want to get out of the session today. So poll 1, do you mainly coach individuals or teams? You've got 3 options there: mainly individuals, mix of individuals and teams, and then mainly teams. So please, will you push the button that refers? All right, just give us a hands up if everybody is done. Okay, so we can see there. So Richard, 25% mainly individuals, mixture of individuals and teams, 75%, and then nobody does mainly teams, which I think should give us a good insight and context for the session. We're going to run another power question very quickly if you could answer the following poll. What do you know about Cascade? Okay, nothing. What is Cascade? Interesting. I've heard about Cascade, but do not have it. I have Cascade and used it a little. I have Cascade and use it a lot. So I'll answer that is that we have Cascade and use it a lot. Right. Okay, all right. So about 1 in 5, 20%, nothing. 35%, I've heard about Cascade, but do not have it. 30%, I have Cascade and use it a little. You're really going to be intrigued today, I think. And then 15%, I have Cascade and use it a lot. Richard, hopefully that'll give you some guidance in terms of the session. Guys, I've asked Richard to really engage with us for about 50 minutes of the hour and give about 10 minutes for after presentation questions. You do know how this works, so you're very welcome to put your hand up. You're all well trained on Zoom, so you can use the chat button and everything in between. And if you get really excited, you can do a shout out and totally interrupt. So whatever works. I know Richard always appreciates interaction and participation. And again, of course, all the difficult questions go to Makrit, the easy ones to Richard and myself. On that note, let me introduce Richard Sterry. Richard runs an organization that has developed the Cascade Strength software. He is a Gallup licensed product provider, and for many years he's been providing valuable services to strength-based coaches across the globe. Richard, on that happy note, over to you, and please could you update us on the valuable work and the interesting stuff that you're doing in the Cascade world?
Thank you, Yendor. Thank you very much. And thank you, Marguerite, both of you, for your very kind introduction and welcome to the session today. It's always a privilege to work with other Gallup licensed partners, and especially with you guys in South Africa. It's nice to reach that side of the world. I want to share today a little bit about my story of how Cascade came about and give it a brief introduction, because obviously I think there are a lot of people here who are not quite sure what it is. And then for those of you who already are using Cascade and benefiting from its tools, I've got some special nuggets to share with you so that there are a few extra things which are going on and what we've been doing recently with it. And then just delve a little bit into some individual coaching pieces that you may or may not have discovered, which are already in Cascade at the moment. So I took my Gallup certification back in 2015, which must be nearly 6-7 years ago now. And one of the first things I noticed was that there's a wealth of information which Gallup provides. And with individualization as my number one theme, I wanted to personalize every individual workshop, personalize every individual coaching session for that team or for that person. And I was forever swapping and changing data around and forever moving it across. I've also got Maximizer in my top 5, and so I had to find a better way of doing it. So I put together a package just in Excel just to help me through it. And I meet up quite regularly with people in London. That's where I took my certification in the UK. And I showed them what I got, and they saw it. They thought, wow, we've got to have that. I want that. And so working with Gallup, became a Gallup licensed partner. And we've now got to the stage where we've got thousands of Gallup coaches all across the globe in about 60 different countries, all using the Cascade product and benefiting from it. So that's in a very sort of potted history, sort of how it came about. But what does it actually do? And the whole emphasis behind it is to help you guys as coaches. It's to help you manage your clients' themes. It's to help you create those workshop materials and things. Your main skill is in coaching. Administration may be a good skill of yours, it may not be, but this is something which will take a lot of that away from you, and it just does it all for you. And it creates name tags, it can create badges, it can create lots of reports as well. So let me just share my screen. That's probably the best way to start. And then I can show you a few pieces on it, and then we can get going. So let's find the right screen and share that. And hopefully we've got that's coming up. So just give me a thumbs up if you've got the Cascade piece coming up on screen. Brilliant. Okay, so that seems to be working there at the moment. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to create lots of different reports. I wanted team grids, I wanted lots of visuals, I wanted lots of different things which I could very easily put together, print out or create PDFs and so on. So this is exactly now what Cascade does, and it's evolved over the years. And as coaches have come up with their suggestions, their ideas, as things have changed, we've then morphed into those different arenas to satisfy those needs. So those are just some of the team reports that we have. And there's a whole host of individual reports as well, which is got on there. And then once I've sort of gone through those, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the strength advantage worksheets that we have. And this is all about helping clients aim their themes using the Name It, Claim It, Aim It trilogy. The Aim It part is using your themes for a very specific purpose. And that's just one of the things that we can do on there. So let me get Cascade up onto the screen, and then we can start to have a look at this and see how it goes. So those of you who know Excel might recognize a little bit on the header there. You don't need to know Excel to be able to run this, but you do need to have Excel on your computer. So that's the technical part. It works on Windows and Mac, so it'll work on the majority of people's computers on there. And essentially, it's divided into three parts. There's a part where you enter the themes for your clients. The second part is where you build your teams and create team reports. And then there's a big section on individual reports. And so we're just going to race through this fairly quickly, just to give you a quick overview, but also for those people who have already got Cascade, I've got one or two little things I can show you along the way. So let's go into what we call the theme table, where we can enter themes for people. And these can be for your clients. And you can put all your clients in here from all different organizations, or if you're working in an organization, have them all from different departments and teams and things. And there's a very easy way of getting people into this. You can type people's names in individually and then just select the theme names from the drop-down lists. That's certainly one way. If they've not taken the assessment and you haven't got it available on Gallup Access, you can just type it in. But the easiest way is just click on the Import Themes button and then just grab an export file from Gallup Access. And that will then just pull everybody's themes in, and it's very quick and easy to get everybody into here. It's got a little bit of housekeeping in here as well. You'll notice that my name is actually in here twice, and it shows it up in red, just so that we can see that there is a duplication, and it's best to try and avoid duplications. So the simplest way to delete somebody is just a matter of highlighting their name and themes, pressing the delete button, and then because we've got an empty row here, I'm just going to sort it alphabetically by first name, and that just moves the empty row to the bottom. So those of you who got Cascade, that's a question I often get asked, how do you delete somebody out of this theme table? On the left-hand side, we have various columns which we can customize completely according to the demographics of the people we've got in here. And it could be perhaps which organization they're in, which department they're in, if you're in education, if they're a particular cohort or something like that. Any way of identifying groups of people, you can use, just put the information into this free space on the left-hand side. And once we've done that, that's the difficult bit, because once everybody's into Cascade, then all the different reports are at your fingertips. So if we move to the team grid, it just creates itself. There's nothing else you need to do. The team grid is just there. And then you can choose at the top how many themes you want to display within this, whether you go top 5, top 10, any combination of the buttons on the top there, you can choose. So then you can select exactly what themes you want to show. And where we looked at the enter the team names or the areas where people lived, it's very easy just to sort of select on here. And let's just, because we're in South Africa, let's go Joburg and London. And it just reduces the grid down to just that group of people. So if you're working with a team, then it will just reduce it down to just the team you're working with, or just the organization that you're working with, or whatever grouping you chose to do. And then all the reports will then relate to this particular group. So we've got here the team grid. We've also got the team summary report. And this is a report just showing the same information, but in a different way. But this is relating to just those names that we selected in the team grid. And so this particular report is a really good visualization of the people within the team. And there's a whole load of conversations you can have around this report as to the distribution of the themes amongst those people in the team. And at the bottom, you've got the top 5 themes for the team as a team. And as a team, they bring, as a team, they need, and as a team, they're motivated by. So lots of team discussions you can have around that. Which is always good for a particular team session on there. We've got some other little visuals which are quite fun. We've got the simply just somebody's top 5, their simple pie chart using the domain colors. And so you can very quickly and easily see which domain somebody is sort of more geared towards. And certainly when I'm doing coaching, and I was running a team session earlier this week, and I have this report in front of me so that when somebody's speaking, I can very quickly see which domain they're coming from, and then I can tailor my answer. So if they're strategic thinking, lots of facts and figures, that sort of thing. So I can make sure that I respond appropriately to them for that. It's also really good with this just to see the differences between people and the similarities, whether they've got a lot of overlapping themes in a particular domain, or they're coming from very different domains. So it's another nice sort of visualization that you can have with that. And then one of these, I'm just going to cover some of the popular reports within Cascade. And one we use is what we call the power of 2. And this quite simply is one person's themes across the top and a second person's themes down the side. And you can select the individuals who you want to have on here just by using the drop-down lists in these yellow boxes. And this is an ideal conversation piece, either for 2 people working really closely together. In other words, how can they collaborate and how can they make things really effective and do things well together? Alternatively, you can use it where there's an area of friction and where there's a bit of conflict between 2 people, because it may be that they're both aiming at the same thing, but they're coming from a different direction. And this will help to uncover which direction they're coming from. And so we've got on here just the theme descriptions. Again, we can change the descriptions and just pick, say, some descriptive words. And so, for example, for collaboration opportunities here, we've got one person here with futuristic, seeing something ahead in the future of what could happen in the future. And then the other person has got, say, responsibility or strategic, where they can find a path of how to get to that place, or responsibility to take ownership to actually drive that dream forward. So you can see how 2 people can come together to really collaborate and make something great. So that's the the Power of Two report, what we've done recently in the last few months is we've adapted the report slightly, and we've created a report called the Power of Me. And what this is looking at, it's looking at just one person. This is Crispy Bacon in this particular case. And we've got his themes or her themes across the top and going down the side. So down the side, we've got the descriptive words, and we've got the roles they play going across the top. So what you could do, you could then pick off, say, a word from down the side, say from developer, the word patient, and then one of the roles which are being played at the top, say leader, so you've got patient leader, or any other combination that you want to do. And I've done this exercise fairly recently with a group where they've been working through this, putting lots of pairs of words in the grid, and then creating lots of I am statements. I am a patient leader, or I am something else from that. And that really helps to give a sense of ownership and helping them to sort of claim their strengths so they can really feel that that's them on there. So that's another sort of piece that you can use this report on. So that was very, very quickly some of the team reports and getting people into the theme table. And it's just a sort of a very quick overview. There's a lot more depth there, but what I want to focus on today is really going deep with some individual reports on here. And there are three main ones I'm going to be looking at. We've got the personal insights report, and this is the top 5 themes, or top 10 or top 15. You can go further on subsequent pages if you need to. But I'm not sure if you used when in your training, you got those theme insight cards or discovery cards. And this is all the information from those cards. And certainly when I've used those cards in my coaching, people have wanted to get their phone out, take a photograph of them or something like that. Here they all are on one sheet. And you can very easily print this out, create a PDF of this, or and give it to them so they then got it. So it's a nice piece to have as a takeaway or as a discussion document within a coaching session. So that's often used. And one of the really popular reports within Cascade is what we call our bring and need report. And this one is unique to Cascade. You'll only find it in Cascade here. And what we've done is that we've got the top themes for somebody going down the side. And again, this is tailored for a particular person, but you can always change it to whoever you want it to be. And on the left-hand side, these are the contributions of the themes. This is what the theme brings. And it sort of talks about sort of 5 or 6 lines for each theme. And it goes into a bit more depth. And it's really helping people find ownership of their themes and giving them confidence in their themes of what they can bring. And so it's one of these things when you're having a team session, how can somebody contribute to the team? This is a really good crib sheet to be able to say, this is what they can do. This is what they can bring. On the other side of the page is what each theme needs. And this is how somebody's energized. This is what keeps them motivated. This is what really encourages them. Because if they have the right environment for what they need for each of their themes, they're going to be able to give of their best. And so perhaps as a manager, if they don't know the needs for all the themes of their staff and can provide those situations, then naturally the staff will be able to give of their best. And so it's a really good way how the manager can interact with their staff and have a conversation about this document. And for example, just looking at the top one, the theme of focus, one of the needs is something to aim for. Well, perhaps the manager can give that person a goal or something, a challenge or something that they can aim for, and then they can channel their energies towards that. So that's a sort of a piece that can be one way this can be used. Another way this can be used is if somebody is particularly demotivated, they're a little bit down, they're just trying to get themselves going and need to pick themselves up a little bit. Have a look at the needs of their themes and think about some practical ways in which their themes can be fulfilled. And surely by doing that, that's going to energize them, and that'll start to give them that motivation and energy and inertia to keep going. Just having a quick look at the chat at the moment.
Yeah, Richard, Rico just asked, those who indicated that they only use Cascade a little, why only a little? But of course, Richard, I think there's so many types of reports and what you can do with Cascade. We haven't all delved into it and bottomed it out. So I think this is the reason why this session is so useful and valuable this afternoon.
I think you're absolutely right. And I come across people who just find 2 or 3 reports that they like to use those 2 or 3, feel comfortable with that, and that's as far as they go. But again, thank you, Yendo and Marguerite, for this session, because we can really go deep a little bit further with this.
So just to give you some feedback, Richard, I've actually used this report. I'm busy coaching an executive who is post-merger trying to create an integrated leadership team. And one of the things that the guys were really struggling with, and in a very sort of humble South African terminology, is people were not sure about what contribution they were making. And so this was a great way of, without having to show off, is to say, listen, I can contribute, and people will be able to then give feedback and recognize that contribution. And man, that turned sort of a grim post-merger conversation into one that sort of flowed and said, listen, there's a lot of value here. How can we leverage?
I think that's a really good practical example of what you just mentioned there, Yendo. Thank you. And it's getting people to work out how they can contribute to the team. Especially when you're dealing with diversity and inclusion, people feel on the outside or on the fringes of the team. Give them something unique that they can contribute. Even better, if you can go to the team grids and any columns where the themes are showing a 1, it's highlighted in blue. So only one person in the team or in the team grid does actually have that theme on the grid. So for example, in this case, the person Bill Player is the only person with self-assurance. So how can that person use their self-assurance to contribute to the dynamics of the team and really encourage the team? And that's why we highlight where themes are unique in the team grid, so that then it helps people to identify that they've got something that other people may not have. And so they can really play that card as much as they can on that. So that's the brings and needs reports that we've looked at. I'm just going to show you a little feature of quite a fun feature that we've added recently. We're not quite sure how it's all going to be used, but we'll just see how we get on with it. And so in the theme, just going back to the theme table, we've played around with this a little bit. And if we just scroll to the right-hand side, actually, there's a quicker way of scrolling. You just click on the extra info button at the top. That'll take us to the right-hand side of the this theme table. All I've done in the role column is I've just put down a few roles or positions that individuals have with this. And then we'll go into the menu and we will look at the settings area. And we've added what we call the report toppings. And the report topping, if I just show you on the bring a need report, is this blank space at the top. We can populate it with something. So if we go to the menu and into the settings, we've got the report toppings. And so if we just type in there, say the dream team, and we want the report topping text just to use that text above, and then we'll just click on apply topping. Just let that go through. And then if we go to our bring a need report, it says at the top, the dream team. Now, you can use this for a variety of different ways. And in some of the reports, you've got up to about 80 characters. So you can play around with that, and you could put some instructions on how to use the report in an exercise. You could use it for something else or put any text you like in there. So I'm just going to show you another way how you can use it. And that is, if I just type in as a, and then use the above text and the person's role from the theme table, and we'll apply that topping. We'll then have a look to see how that comes out in the report. So if we go to the bring and need, and it says here as a strengths coach. If we select somebody else, we got, not quite sure who else has got one on. Let me just check. I think that one. Okay, so as a manager, this comes up. And so this is then personalized for each person you're running the report off for. So those with ideation, I call upon you specifically and anybody else who wants to contribute. How would this piece of text be really helpful? It came about with somebody who was working with the military, and of course the manager doesn't really feature in the military ranks and so on, and so he wanted something that would say as a sergeant major or as a corporal or as whatever else was going on or whatever rank they had. So he was able to personalize it for their individual situation. So that's a new feature that we've added. And so we'll see how that gets used, and then we can share that on our Facebook groups and take it on from there.
Well, just from what's going on in the chat, Richard, this is definitely useful and people like it. So a lot of thumbs up there.
Okay, excellent. It's just one of those things. We've created it because we thought it was useful for one situation. We've made it available for people to customize. See how you get on. I'd love to sort of see the results and hear the results and of what comes out of that with that. So that was a fun piece for you. Right, let's dig into some individual coaching pieces. And when I say individual, this could be done on a one-to-one basis, or it could be done with lots of individuals within a team. So you can flex it according to whatever you think is appropriate. And I'm going to look at the advantage area. And this is what we call the strengths advantage area, where it's really how people can use their strengths to their advantage. And that's where I was saying in the name, claim, aim trilogy, this is the aim part. How can you aim your strengths and use them in a very specific area? And what we have is that we have a drop-down list at the top, and we've got over 20 different topics which we've built up on this list of how people can use their strengths in many, many different situations. And given the situation where we've been over the last couple of years with the pandemic, what I want to do is pick up on a few which we've added recently. And the first one is what we call mindset resilience. And this was put together in collaboration with another Gallup Strengths coach who actually lives in Dubai. Her name is Laura Everest, and she wrote a book called Rebuilt to Last. And what her story is, about 6 years ago, she was out running in Dubai and she was hit by a car and her legs were severely damaged. And when I say severely damaged, it was questionable whether she'd ever be able to walk again. What she's done, using her strengths very specifically, along with obviously a lot of medical intervention as well, is that she's got herself back on her feet again. She's still having extensive surgery, but in her book, she describes her journey and how she applied her strengths to help her with her journey. And she's got lots of techniques in the back of the book of how other people can use their strengths for that. And so when I read the book, I was absolutely fascinated by her story and the way she used strengths. And we then got together to work out, okay, how can we create something that will help the coaching community? And so what we've come up with is a mindset resilience worksheet, which really looks at how somebody who has gone through a particular trauma, it doesn't have to be as major as Laura's trauma. And I've used this recently with somebody whose marriage completely broke up in that sense, just to help them to come to terms with some of the things with that. Or you could use it for where there's been a sort of a big impact in somebody's life. And the first two sections of this ask questions about how can you explain the situation in the language of your strengths? And how can you explain the situation, or what boundaries have been crossed and what has been compromised, again, in the language of your strengths, and looking from your strengths perspective. And once you can start to understand the fact that perhaps my responsibility was, the boundary was crossed there because I was deeply let down by somebody, or there's something like that which has been in there, which has sort of rocked you a little bit. Once you understand that, you can then start to build your response. And the response part looks at, firstly, what is the best way forward? What is the best thing that could possibly happen to come out of this? So you think of what is excellent, and then you think, okay, what is practical and actionable for me to do now? And so the worksheet can help you take a client through this, or a client could work on this on their own to see how they can understand the situation and then help themselves to come out of it, but using the lenses of their strengths. So that's just one of the worksheets that we have there. As I said, we've got about 20 different worksheets. One we just added recently is on psychological safety. Now, I don't know if any of you have come across psychological safety, especially for teams. And this particular model is the 4 stages of psychological safety developed by a company called Leader Factor. And Leader Factor do their own certification in psychological safety, and it'd be a great addition if you're doing lots of team coaching to your own repertoire and things. And I think they do an online course for about $99, so it's not particularly expensive. And it really helps to understand what makes a safe environment. We talk about safe environments, but how do we actually foster that and create that? And so they've divided it into 4 different stages. There's inclusion safety, learner safety, contributor safety, and challenger safety. And you may have been in a situation where you're in a particular group, but it just doesn't feel right. You don't feel that you can give what you want to give because there's going to be some friction. There's going to be something, some pushback on what you might suggest or something like this. But what they really encourage going through their process through the 4 stages is creating a sense of rewarded vulnerability. So people can can offer something which is being vulnerable, but actually they're rewarded for doing that. So they're encouraged to be vulnerable and encouraged to share, to challenge the status quo, and encouraged to really help productivity. And that's what is the outcome from this. Where you've got psychological safety in a team, the productivity does increase as well because everyone's working together and it's safe to be able to challenge somebody. Actually, I don't disagree. I don't agree with what you're saying. I think we need to think about this again, or whatever the conversation may need to be. So that's another worksheet that we've been working with, but very specifically, how can we incorporate strengths and psychological safety together and using our strengths, because different strengths manifest themselves in different ways, which can give the impression of hindering psychological safety. For example, somebody with the theme of relator may not overtly go out and welcome somebody who's just joining the group, but they, because it's sort of not on their top priority list as a relator, on there, and the person might read that as saying, oh, nobody welcomed me, and therefore feel slightly rejected from the group. Not that they were deliberately rejected from the group, but that's just the impression which may have been given. So it really builds an awareness of that. So that's psychological safety. We've also got something on well-being as well, because obviously Gallup are doing a lot of work on well-being. There's a lot of talk about well-being going on at the moment. And so all this particular worksheet is looking at is, where are you now in terms of the 5 different areas of well-being, and how can you use your strengths to just nudge them up one level, and so on. So it's just, again, bringing strengths into that topic of well-being. So those are just a few of the pieces that we've got within the Strengths Advantage area, and just how you could perhaps utilize those within a team. And one I was using just actually earlier this week with a group who were just new to strengths, and they were just sort of exploring their strengths and understanding how they all work. And we looked at the bringer needs report a bit to say, okay, what do they need to keep their strengths energized? And in conjunction with that report, there is the rhythm of motivation worksheet that we've got here, which is really looking at how can you feed your strengths every day or every week or each month? How can you keep yourself energized? And so perhaps somebody with the theme of focus, they may need a goal, but do they perhaps need a 3-year goal, so a 3-month goal or something like that? Or do they need a 1-month goal? What would really satisfy them there? I've got relator in my top 5. I need lots of one-on-one conversations. And so I try and make sure that I line a Zoom call or a phone call or a meeting up with somebody at least once a day, just so I can feed that and keep that going. So it just helps to sort of embed strengths into the everyday. How can we use some everyday examples which we repeat on a regular frequency to keep ourselves energized? Right, let me just pause there for a moment just to see if there are any questions, any comments that I've missed in the chats, or anything else happening at the moment.
Richard, most of it's been complimentary with oohs and ahs. So I don't know if there's any specific questions at this stage people want to ask.
Yeah, Richard, the questions that's coming to me in the direct message is just take my money. How much is it?
So Osha's asking a question, Richard, which I think is top of mind of everybody is, how can I upgrade?
Okay, the upgrade process, you should be able to do it if you've got when you purchase Cascade, you get free support and updates for the first year, and then you can pay a little bit extra and continue that for subsequent years. And you can actually update within your own copy of Cascade. So while we've got Cascade open, just head to the modules area and click on the download button, and that will automatically bring down the latest version for you. And then you can quickly sort of transfer everybody across into the new version, and you're up and running. So we've got instructions on how to do that. If you click on the green question mark, that'll take you straight to the website page that we've got, which gives you full instructions on how to do that.
I can imagine that this is in your experience, a brilliant marketing tool, but I also think that there are a lot of reports here that you could charge clients money for. Can you give us a bit of a sense of how coaches are monetizing Cascade?
Yes, got to be slightly careful because it's Gallup IP in here and they don't like it being sold on and that side of things. But if you're using it in a coaching environment and you're coaching a team, then by all means, absolutely include the Cascade reports in your offerings. And that means you can sort of bump up the price of your services because you're offering so much more than just a sort of a standard few reports. You're offering a whole wealth of reports. So it really adds a lot of value. And also if you're tendering out to a new client, by all means, send them, say something like the team summary report. So you can say, this is what I can do with your team. This is what I can provide for you, or show them a few examples, say, these are some of the things that I can offer. And I can tailor these specifically for your team. Richard,
Robbie's asking a great question, which I actually know the answer to, which is good, is can it go beyond the top 5?
Absolutely. It's designed for for all 34. So what we do the standard package, which is mainly top 5. And then if you get the bonus pack, that'll take you to all 34 themes, and you can get this report here for the team summary. So while we're talking about that sort of thing, let me jump onto our shop page. This is at releasingstrengths.com. And there are 2 flavors of Cascade. There's Cascade Professional, which is designed for organizations where more than one coach in that organization or in that location can use the same license. So you can share a license on that to make it easier for you. So that's for organizations. But what we offer for individual coaches, if you've set up your own business, you sort of running your own coaching business, you can use Cascade Personal, which is licensed just to you. And technically, it's exactly the same as Cascade Professional, but the license is just slightly different. And what we do, we offer that at a discounted rate because you're a coach running your own business. I'm a coach running my own business, and it's always nice to be able to support like-minded people as well at the same time. So those are the 2 different flavors of Cascade. What I would strongly recommend is getting the bonus pack. If you want to create PDF reports, you want to go beyond the top 5, you want to do the team reports, get the bonus pack. And so just if we go into here at the moment, if you're in here and then just choose the fact that you want the bonus pack, and then that'll get bundled in together. I should change it to dollars on there. Might be a bit better. The prices are fixed in UK pounds sterling, and they fluctuate slightly with the exchange rate with US dollars. Unfortunately, I don't have pricing in your, is it rand you use on there? So it's US dollars, euros, or GB pounds, whichever's easiest for yourselves on that. So that's the sort of the basic piece on there. An offer I've got for you today is you can use the discount code of BHG, and that will give you a 10% discount off everything. So it'll give you a 10% discount off a new product, or if you wanted to add a bonus pack, or we also have languages. So you can have the reports in different languages if you want. So if you're working with international people who have that different first language, then you can create reports in those languages as well. So we've got those options. So BHG will give you a 10% discount off everything. And I believe, Yendor, you've got a handout or a PDF you can circulate later. That's got the discount code in there. So you're welcome to use that as much as you like.
So Renel's got a practical question. What do we need to purchase to get the worksheets?
So the piece to purchase on here is either Cascade Professional or Cascade Personal, depending on your situation. And this is as I said, a one-time fee. And so this is what you'll pay at the outset. And then each year it's between $30 and $50 that you will pay, just so you can continue to get the updates that we bring out every few months. And any technical support you need, I'm here, I can help. We can jump on a Zoom call if you got stuck, and I can take you through anything that you need help with. Okay, I've got a little something which I can share with those who've already got Cascade and those who are thinking about getting Cascade. And here's a little extra tip for you. Sometimes if you're creating a worksheet pack for your clients, you're doing an in-person session and you want to print off a whole load of different reports. And by the way, you can print them off individually, or you can click on this button here for the whole team, and it will just rattle off a whole series of reports for everybody in the team grid. So really quick and easy to create a whole set of reports for a team.
Sorry, Richard, I've got to say ooh and ah, because this is where I've shipwrecked before. So woohoo.
Just as an example, the workshop I was running earlier this week, I needed to have the personal insights, the bring and needs, strengths advantage, and a name tent for 11 people. And I think I did it all in about 10 minutes or something.
Yeah.
It was really quick, really easy to print off.
I agree. Woohoo!
It really is a time
I just
saver.
joined a whole lot of PDFs today to do the same thing.
So you can either do it in PDF or you can create physical printed ones. Again, it doesn't take long. It just rattles them off really quickly on that. Yeah. If you're doing virtual, create all the PDFs, zip them up, and then send them off to the coordinator with your customer, and they can then distribute them, or however you want to share them with your clients.
Sorry, Richard, I'm a bit confused with some of the chats. I'm going to just go one by one, but I think it's quite good to clarify. So Renel's saying, I have the personal thing, but no access to the worksheets. Maybe I should download the upgrade, or what would your advice be there, Richard?
Yes, would have thought so. Just check that. Are you referring to the new worksheets, the ones I've just been mentioning today?
I'm presuming so, yeah.
In which case, download the latest version. The version number's at the top. We're on 5F at the moment. So if you've got an earlier version than that, you may not have those worksheets, in which case do a download, and then any questions, just come straight back to me, and then we can sort that out for you.
Okay, I think that's useful clarity.
Okay,
good.
Yep, thank you for that. Yeah, so just going back, if you're preparing a set of worksheets for a session, it's nice to put a header sheet just on front of it so that you can give the organization name, you can give your details and a few logos like that. So what we've done, and especially for you because you're on this call today, if you go into the module section and type in, you'll need to make a note of this, WBC, we don't advertise this, and then click go. It'll then show the workbook cover, and you'll see there's a new button which has appeared at the bottom. And there's also the cover tab, which has appeared at the bottom here as well. So if we go into workbook cover, what this offers is the opportunity to customize your own page to go in front of the work packs. And so you can put whatever workshop you're doing, who you're doing it for, and it gives the person's name, their top 5 themes, and is unique for each of the different pages that you print out. So that's a nice front piece that you can then have on there. And it's one of those features. As I said, we don't advertise it on our website. We try not to talk about it on our Facebook group, but it's there for you and for others who attend sessions like this.
So Richard, you and I officially have fangirls. I'm too afraid to ask. And then Rika says, please repeat that trick. So if you could just take us through a bit slower, I think.
Okay, so we're in the Cascade menu, go to the modules section, and there's a maintenance code option in here. And it's just a matter of typing WBC and then clicking on the go button. I won't click it again because it'll then take it off. That's where it adds it on there for you.
So when is the Swahili version coming out, Richard?
I will need to learn Swahili first. So that will take me probably a few years, I think.
Right. I think Pumi's going to volunteer to help us with Zulu, right?
Richard, we also had a question here for Seno. He's in French-speaking Africa. If he wants to purchase the tool in English and in French, does he pay double?
No,
of course, there's a percentage that comes through to BHG, but can you help him out?
Absolutely. So the way languages are put on is if you were to purchase a language pack, you just put in a code in this space, click on activate, and then it just activates that language. The way to change the language is in the settings section and just say which language you want. And so if we go into French, and then we just say that we want, because you can have the English theme names or you can have the French theme names. You've got a choice as to which way you want to do that. Say you want the French, apply that language. That will then set all the reports up for the French language. And then when you go into the report, all the functioning of Cascade is still in English. But if you go into, say, the bring and need report, you'll find that it's all in French or German or Spanish. Yes.
Excellent.
And as a special treat, if you export the themes from Gallup Access in French and import them into the theme table, when it does the import process, it translates those themes from French into English. So then it runs in English. It also does the same with German and Spanish as well.
Right. In terms of the cover page, Richard, can you put your own company logo on?
Absolutely. Yep. Drop your own company logo on that. Yes, it's got the themes in French here as well. Yes. So drop the theme, drop your logo in, literally just inserts and picture, and then find a picture and then drop that in. So you can do that. You can drop your logo into most of the reports, not all of them, but most of them. Okay. And certainly in the team grids, you can take out the Cascade logo, replace it with your own logo, make it your own, put your customer's logo in there as well. That's another way of personalizing it for them on that. And then also in personalization, you can then say in here, you can actually give the name of the team on there. So if you say the dream team here, then all the team reports will show the dream team on there. So that's true for the team grid, team summary, etc. as well. So if you put a team name in there, it'll then use that name in there. And then when it creates a PDF of those particular reports, it uses that heading, so the dream team, as part of the PDF file name, just so you can identify it.
Renel's asking, how often do you release upgrades and where do you notify us about them? She feels that she's missed some of this.
It's worth getting onto our mailing list. And if I can just see if I can pull that up again. And we have a monthly newsletter that comes out, which we announce, which comes out each month. And that's where we announce any new upgrades and things. And the upgrades are roughly once a quarter. So we try not to be too frequent, but we like to have a few to keep things progressing forward. And so worth getting onto our newsletter subscription here, or jump onto our Facebook group. And again, there are details on the PDF handouts, so you'll be able to get those details as well.
Richard, I'm also right that you can just look at for version using the system itself, right?
Absolutely, yes. So we have got, if we go back to Cascade on our websites, and you can have a look at the change log, you can then see exactly what the latest version is and all the changes which have gone on with that. So if you want the details and things of what's been happening, that's certainly there.
Richard, thanks. We got 10 minutes left of our session. I just want to make sure we give people an opportunity to ask questions, but perhaps if I can ask you to get your crystal ball out and tell us what is forthcoming. So what does next year look like for Cascade and releasing strength?
Good question on that. I tend to work on the basis of the way I've developed Cascade is I use 3 of my themes. Harmony to really hear what's going on in the coaching environment and really identify the points of pain, and then find something which will then fit that. And so maximizer thinks there's got to be a better way. And then learner usually kicks in and work out, okay, how on earth are we going to do it on there? So those are the themes I tend to use. So it's very much listening to the community, hearing what the needs are, and then fulfilling something which will then be useful for the coaches. So most of the features in Cascade have been suggested by coaches. And a lot of the worksheets are very much coming from coaches and looking at sort of needs at the time. So you can see the mindset resilience, the well-being. We've done some on care coaching for caring for a loved one and things like that. So it really depends what's coming up in the future on that. One piece I am working on at the moment is the SCARF model, which I still need to learn a little bit more about, of how people can use their strengths with that SCARF model. And so we're thinking of putting a worksheet together on that basis on that.
For the rest of us that don't want to look a little bit silly, what is the SCARF model?
Good question. I'm still learning at the moment.
Okay, so it's not just me then.
Not at all. It's been suggested by 2 or 3 different coaches. So I think there's potential for it on that, but I need to understand it a lot more of how we can use it and how you can apply strengths with it as well.
I think the positive challenge is just trying to keep up with all of this, Richard, I have to say. So it's a nice challenge to have. Guys, we've got literally 5 minutes. Does anybody like to ask any questions? Torture Richard a little bit. I mean, amuse him a bit.
I do have a question here. Richard, thank you very much. I have just a kind of a presenting side of it. I know we're very much in the digital space at the moment, but if you have to present that visually, apart from just showing it like you did now, how do you present that? How do you put that in front of a team or a company, or in terms of giving a report, apart from giving a PDF via email or something? How would you do that?
Thank you, Chris. That's a really good question on that. And it's just something I was using earlier this week at a PowerPoint presentation, and I wanted to include some features from the Cascade reports. And so the easiest way of doing it is to bring Cascade up on your screen. This is when you're preparing, do a screen clipping and just drop that straight into PowerPoint. So that's the easiest way. What I would suggest is you try and show Cascade on the biggest screen that you've got, so you've got the best quality of screen clipping to then put into PowerPoint on there. But that's the easiest way of doing it.
Okay, good. Because I do found that, I mean, some of the team grit is beautiful to have it as a visual for someone. But the moment you present it, it's like people squeaking into Zoom mode and want to get into a bigger side of it. But yeah, I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, so get it up onto your screen, do a screen clipping, and then just pop that into PowerPoint.
Good.
So Rick is saying that both her maximizer and her input talents are satisfied. So well done, Richard.
Excellent. Well, I've got maximizer, so we've been polishing the stone for a very long time.
Fair enough. Good. Guys, any more questions? You have opportunity to do several things here. You can ask Richard about Cascade. You can ask him about his experience as a Gallup coach in the UK, and anything you may be curious about. And Richard's giving us some pearls of wisdom about his connections across. Perhaps you want to ask him a little bit about how or where he sees coaching going.
I just have a question. Richard, if people want to reach out to you, where do they get a hold of you? Because I know what's going to happen. They're going to send me emails and I won't be able to answer them and satisfy input, learner, maximizer, and strategic. So where can people reach out to you?
Thank you very much for asking. You've just put my website address, releasingstrengths.com, in the chat. And that's my website. You can connect to me on LinkedIn. The connections are in the handouts, which is going out as well. Or you can email me directly, richard@releasingstrengths.com. One thing we haven't mentioned, if you want to fill a moment or two, I also run the Strengths Twins program. So if you want to find somebody who's got the same top 5 themes as yourself, feel free to register on our Strengths Twins, and we'll do the best to see if we can match you up. And we've matched up over 1,000 people so far in the last 3 or 4 years. So there's a lot of excitement around that at the moment.
Question coming through: when are we going to see the family and the faith packs attached to Cascade?
Good question. It's something on the back burner which has been brewing for a very long time. The more I talk to people in my research about it, the greater number of variations get requested. It seems that every different faith group, every different church has come up with their own model, and they want that one included. So I'm just trying to work out what would be the best way to do this and how best to manage that. So no time frame on it at the moment, but it's something that I'd love to do at some point in time.
Yes, I think it's interesting permutations around trying to unify different belief systems, I suppose.
Yeah, I think the core belief is probably the same. It's different people have used different models and different shapes of things. And so it's just trying to find something that's going to resonate with the majority.
So Juanita is asking, so for interest sake, what would be the purpose of finding your strengths twin other than it's way cool and be interesting?
Yeah, great question on that. Really, it's like talking to someone who just knows you. When someone really understands you, so immediately you can really get that bond and feel that the person who knows you. But beyond that, it's about, okay, you've both got the same combination of themes. How do you actually use them? How do you use that mix of themes? How does this theme interact with that theme for you? And then just sort of see how that goes. Or how do you deal in this situation where you've got these themes? And so it's really encouraging. And in some ways, it's like talking to a second self in that sense. I know we're all unique. We're still unique beyond strengths as well. But it just gives you an extra edge and something else to work with.
So just to be clear, Richard, it's not the strengths dating site, right?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm not aware of any people who've taken it that far on that. What I have come across is one person in London, one person in Paris. They were strengths twins, and I matched them up. And one went to stay with the other one. And they realized that their family makeups were exactly the same. They both had 2 children and a dog. They both decorated their houses in exactly the same ways. And there's a lot of other combinations which are very similar. So yeah, scary stuff.
Guys, we just want to be mindful of time, so I'm going to close the session. Richard, I'm presuming you're going to hang around for a bit longer for people to ask that. Just so from my side, Richard, thank you very much for your time. I don't know where the hour has gone, but it's whizzed past, and it's always great to catch up with Releasing Strengths and the world of Cascade. You've given us a good couple of moments, nuggets, as you point out, in terms of helping for those that use Cascade significantly, and I share Oshia's view about there's some woohoo moments that from that perspective. So thank you very much from our point of view and so forth. In terms of BHG, what is next for our alumni coaching community, you will please keep your dates open and flexibility around November, because we are going to have a year-end function where we're going to recognize some of the people that we've come across this year that are worth recognizing and shouting out to. So we're going to have an end of year BHG alumni get together where we are going to show off a little bit, allow you to show off a little bit and tell us how you've saved the world and impacted people's lives positively and so on. And we're going to give out a couple of awards. We're going to have Liz, our Gallup partner based in Omaha, Nebraska, joining us. And she's going to give a little bit of insight in terms of Gallup and where Gallup is going from that perspective. But it's really just a celebration of ending a year. So watch out for that invitation. And please do join us, because it's going to be we're not going to talk about skills. We're not going to talk about strengths in terms of how to, but it's just a recognition, celebration, and a way of connecting as human beings around the coaching table. So watch out for that. And please try and make some time. Our next newsletter will be available shortly. So as soon as we can get that done, watch out for that. So guys, from our side, Margriet, myself and BHG, on behalf of Richard, thank you very much. It was great to have you all on board. We're going to be available for the next couple of minutes for you guys to engage, torture, victimize, or whatever you want to do. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. On that happy note, Margriet, you can stop recording and now we can really arm wrestle.